muted during the course of the presentation today to preserve the quality of our audio as this webinar is being recorded. Questions. Normally we have a questions box that you could submit questions to. At this point we are having technical issues with that, so if there are any questions during the course of the webinar, you can submit those to myself. My email is dbeck@drmcnady.com, and we will try to get those questions answered by the end of today's webinar. If not, as part of follow-up, we will forward a question and answers log. Also, for all attendees and registrants of today's webinar, we will be putting together a follow-up email that will include a copy of the slideshow presentation, a link to today's recording, and also the question and answers log in Excel format. Presenting today will be Don McNady, and we're going to turn the presentation over to Don.
Thank you, Dan. Just a brief screen about us. Many of you know we've been around over 25 years working in the Primavera environment, setting up Primavera project control systems, and provide hosting through our affiliated company, MLM Project Services. We host pretty much anything, even remotely related to the Oracle Primavera environment. So let's get started. Integrated enterprise reporting is something that has evolved in our support for clients over several years, and we found it to be a good alternative to doing direct data integration. So I'm going to talk about how this is different than direct data integration. Some of the technologies that we're currently using to accomplish this enterprise level reporting, the heart of which is the reporting database, which I'll give you more details on. We'll talk about some of the benefits, show you some examples, and the LA Metro public dashboard just went live this week, so we'll show you a demonstration from that. So integrated enterprise reporting. Okay, we're gathering data from multiple sources within the organization, and oftentimes in the reports that we produce, we have to go out and find that information where it is, often unconnected, siloed, and so the integration part of producing these reports is always the much more difficult part. I've seen clients spend 4, 5, 6 times as much money on integration as they originally spent to first purchase and implement their original system. So the data is captured from its native structure, formatted, simplified, renamed, whatever we have to do to get it into a reporting database in the proper context to support dashboards and reports that we can produce with a variety of Oracle and third-party tools for dashboards and graphic reports. And above all, in our pursuit of project management solutions that simply work, we want this information to be easily accessed. In almost 40 years working in this industry, I know from experience that anything that is difficult to do or difficult to access just doesn't work. So we need to make it efficient and simple to access the information so that people actually can spend their time interpreting the information instead of trying to find it and get to it. In data integration, it's the same process where we're going out and finding that same information and pulling it together into what's usually a primary application such as P6 through a variety of data connectors or integration engines that bring the information together. A benefit of direct integration is that you can see the information on screen and in your reports, but the on screen is something that we don't get when we do integrated reporting, only through direct integration. Okay, the primary application is going to drive what our report writers are and how we access the information. And here's a good graphic that shows you a comparison of the two approaches. And the top is integrated reporting, where we've got the same databases of information, and this could be multiple contract management databases, multiple P6 databases, through a data collector or process programming into a report writer, where you've got a variety of tools that are available to you to produce the dashboards and reports accessible through a simple web interface. In the integrated data model, we're pulling everything together into a primary application. We're working with the data within the application report tools and accessing it through the application. Now, quite often, we still would need an integrated reporting process to be able to produce reports that maybe I can't do with the application report tools, or using the web services to make this information available in a simpler or easily accessed web interface. Some of the technologies that we're using, we've got the flexibility to use different tools in different situations. In all of the examples I'm showing you, all of this work is being done within our hosted environment, where we provide a dedicated platform for each client to do their integrated reporting. And in some situations, we might use different technologies. And the ones that I'm showing you today, this is primarily what we're using. There's a variety of databases that we've used, including Oracle and Microsoft SQL, along with some specialized tools. So for those of you that are interested in the technology, I did want to provide some visibility on this information here for you. So the reporting database gathers information from the other database sources as part of an ETL process. ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. And that transform is an important part of it. Anyone that's tried to do reports directly from the P6 database knows or has found out that some of the information that we see on screen isn't stored in the database. It's actually calculated for display on screen. But using an ETL process, we can do that same calculation but turn it into data and store that data into the reporting database so that it's easily available for use with report writers and in graphic dashboard tools. Okay, and that's what the flattening of the data is all about. The reporting databases can retrieve information from multiple sources, so I'm not limited to going into one P6 or one contract management database. I can pull it from many. The information is pulled on a regular basis, refreshed, for example, daily. We had one that we produced for a client that had about 600 inspectors working in the field on a daily basis, and the managers wanted to know what was going on a daily basis. And so by pulling from multiple databases, multiple sources of information, everything was processed by 9 o'clock the following morning, and at 10 o'clock the following morning, they had reports of what was going on in the field as of the end of the previous day. That is how project controls reporting really should work. We can also snapshot databases to support trend analysis. What that is let's say that we pull a complete set of data weekly. We don't just override. We can keep saving it from week to week or month to month or whatever periods you're using. And that allows us to do trend analysis in some of our reports and graphics. Now, P6 Analytics is a reporting database. It grew out of the original ERD, or Enterprise Reporting Database, that was available in earlier versions of P6. And so that is readily available, but it's currently connected to P6 data. You can connect it to other sources of information and accomplish a very similar thing, if not the same thing, with analytics. So some of the benefits of doing this, the biggest one is that we found it to be less costly than full application integration. You know, I made the example earlier of a client that spent $400,000 or $500,000 for the initial purchase of contract management software and the implementation organization-wide, and then ended up spending probably $4 or $5 million to do direct integration with their financial systems. And that just seems to be a bit of out of balance to me. And so we have to go back and think about, what is it that I really need? You know, I need the information from the other systems, and if I get it in a report, I'm accomplishing what I need without having to go through the painful process of integration into just a primary application. When the data is in a reporting database, it also makes it a lot easier to work with when you're doing ad hoc reports, meaning that I've got capability on screen to change what I display and how I filter it and how I organize it. And I'm using column names that are a lot friendlier or more easily understood by the people using the information. So there are a variety of third-party tools that are available. I'm not limited to, you know, let's say just BI. I could go beyond that to some of the different graphic tools that are out there on the market now. So that allows us really to stay out on the edge of the technology and not waiting for something to come built into some future version of the tools that we're using. This bullet down here is an important one, and that's simple web interfaces or devices. So all of this information can be run on a tablet like an iPad or an Android. It's all accessible through a web browser that doesn't require any kind of an applet in order for it to run. And the output is also interactive with a drill down capability so that I can get closer to the sources of the information or the details that I may want. So we'll get into some examples. I've got quite a few slides, actually about 48 slides in this presentation. We got started a little bit late, so I'd like to get into the examples and the demo as soon as we can. The examples will be pretty much self-explanatory as to the purpose, and I'm starting with one that we did some time ago with a project summary report, and then we'll get into the LA Metro Measure R public dashboard, which went live this week, and also show you some dashboard work that we've been doing with a large utility company. Project summary report. You know, a lot of us have seen these for years. They're put together, let's say, on a monthly basis by people taking and pasting things into Excel or PowerPoint and producing these reports. And what this is it's actually a report that is executed every time that you click on the link. The information comes from within P6 or contract management or the financial system to produce this report at a click. In the upper left, I've got a portal that's in P6 Web. So within P6 Web, I have a portal where I can click a link. It's not opening a PDF, it's actually executing a report that's pulling data that's as fresh as the last time it was updated, which, you know, usually is on a daily basis. So it's pulling notes from P6 note fields, which can be maintained through P6 Web, P6 Pro, or even maintained through web services in a simple, simply accessed web environment. Date information coming right out of the schedule, reformatting it for the reports, using colors to show if it's actual, making it easier to read. This one was done some time ago. You know, simple concept. We're pulling information from multiple data sources into a reporting database. There is an ETL process that we go through to pull into this database. And over the years, we have used various reporting database tools from the Primavera Enterprise Reporting Database, P6 Analytics, a custom database warehouse using SQL, Oracle, even Microsoft Access to be able to produce reports, and graphics and dashboards that people can access through the web. Next, I'll show you the Measure R public dashboard. This just went live this week. There's actually the link to it, and we'll actually get into that a little bit when I get to the demonstration, so you can see what kind of speed we're looking at. But, you know, this is information that's intended for the public. It's colorful, it's summary. Most of all, it comes right out of the project management information system that LA Metro has spent several years deploying. The executive summary of what the intent of this is it needed to be designed to provide a public-facing website for status and performance information about Measure R projects, including cost and schedule information. So the information that is published is extracted from the existing project management information system, which consists of P6, Primavera Contract Management, Ecosys, and FIS. The way the system is set up, Ecosys extracts cost information from contract management on the major rail projects, contains cost information on all of the miscellaneous projects, and interfaces with FIS to pull in the actual information. You'll see that in the diagram later on. An important part of this is an administration system that's put in place to validate and audit information prior to publication. We don't want the information on the public website just to be pulling automatically from the PMIS system unless we've had a chance to look at it and make sure this has been validated, this is up to date, because this information is updated daily. So we don't want to take a chance on anything slipping through that hasn't been audited and approved before publication. So that is definitely a part of it. It's designed for the Measure R project portfolio, but they can add highway projects or whatever other portfolios they want to it. So it's a web-based system. It uses JavaScript, but does not require any Java applets to install, which is why it's very easy to access from an iPad or Android or any tablets. And it's browser independent for most of the recent browsers. So we're talking IE 8, 9, 10, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, whatever. The data extraction from the PMIS are actually done weekly, not daily in this particular case, but the administration of the public-facing information is a very important part to make sure that what's on the dashboard has been checked and validated before it gets published for public consumption. So here we can see that the information using web services, Kettle is actually a ETL tool that we're using to pull the information from Ecosys and P6 into a database that an administrator has access to both review and approve publication through JavaScripts and high charts to the public data set. So they only have, the public only has access to whatever the current published data set is. So the cost data comes from Ecosys, which includes cost data that's pulled from Metro's financial information system and Primavera Contract Management. PCM is used to manage the major rail projects, and then Ecosys pulls that information in as well as all of the miscellaneous projects for a complete perspective on cost. Status and schedule information comes from P6. Other maps and images are stored within the reporting database for use in the dashboard system. So site navigation, we use a simple breadcrumb navigation, so you can always click back to go backwards. You can see where you're at. There are a lot of clickable links throughout throughout the dashboard so that you can drill down for more detailed information. A mouse over hover pops up a box that shows you what it is that you're looking at that the mouse is hovering over. We use simple tabs. So if we're within a single project, we've got information on the scope, the status, the cost, and the schedule. And it's just very simple to click these tabs to move into the specific information that you want. And when you're looking at one project on the breadcrumb navigation up at the top, you can actually click a down arrow and get a complete list of all of the other projects and very easily be able to click and move to another project from whatever project that you're working on. All of these screens also include print and export capabilities through PDFs. Makes it easy for you to get output out for use in other reports. There's a built-in pop-up or help explanation. You click on the question mark. It tells you what this is. This is the current status narrative from the project manager. It comes out of a P6 notebook, but we don't have to go into that level of detail with the public, just telling them an explanation of what it is. There's also a photo gallery, the slideshow. I found that to be pretty informative, where people can just click on the photo gallery as part of this, run a slideshow, see pictures of what's going on in the project. The administration of the dashboard allows an administrator and publishers to review and publish the dashboard data. It maintains a historical record, so everything that's been published is saved, so it can be audited in the future if needed. There's role-based administration that only allows certain people to have certain rights as to what they perform, and it uses emails to communicate among those involved to facilitate the review, approval, and publishing process. We work with the client to develop a workflow to initiate and conduct the review, how the publication works, and how cleanup and administration of the database works, and the various responsibilities. In the administration side of the tool, I could have multiple data sets that have been not published yet, but that are available for review. We can initiate the review. You can have multiple reviewers, and you can set up the rules as to what each reviewer is able to see or do. I had talked about role-based access, so I might be a reviewer or an admin, but unless I have publisher rights, I don't have the ability to publish this information, and it can't be published until it's gone through the review and approval process. Future options on this is to add a more interactive capability with maps. To be able to click on certain areas of the project or on maps and pull up information specific to those particular areas. The dashboard went live this week, and they have the ability to add additional portfolios in it as they desire. So that was LA Metro. When we get into the demo portion of this, we'll take a look at that more closely. The Let me just pull up where we're at here. Okay, so this is a portfolio of projects. This is a simple dashboard. Because this is a PowerPoint screenshot, you can't see the hovering capability when I get over it with a mouse, and this is all very proprietary information, so there won't be any live demonstrations of any of this, but you can see, the number of projects versus the amount of money. So this red portion here, which is pipeline, so we've got quite a bit more money going for those projects. Looks like the light blue doesn't have any funding available for it. And here I can see funding, end of year forecast, what's been authorized, actual state. These metrics can be defined based on what your particular needs are on the project. And here's a scheduled dashboard for one project. We're showing the summary Gantt and the milestones all at once, kind of overlaying one another. We can also see the cash flow as we get into some pretty heavy expenditure periods on this particular project. Now, I'd mentioned the ability to interact with the data. Here I can control what columns I'm seeing, so I can pull up the type of information that I want, turn columns on and off. For my display, as this is displayed, you can see I've got interactive links here where I can drill down into these projects and get much more detailed information on these projects. Here's a project summary dashboard. This is just on screen within the dashboard. Here I'm looking at project summary. I also have a tab for issues and risks. Again, it's pulling most of this information out of P6 and using web services for how we display a lot of this information. Program level status by phase, pipelines, stations. Here I can see some metrics for projects funded, overfunded, underfunded. Again, these metrics can be defined according to what your specific requirements are. Here's the program funding dashboard. So you can see what's funded and my end of year forecast. And of course, this is a summarization of information that's coming out of the financial system and the project management system, P6. So just to give you an idea of how this works, the kind of speed that you can expect on a tool like this. This went live this week. We're hosting the LA Metro Project Management Information System through our MLM Projects affiliate. And so this will pull us right over here. Let me put this dashboard up. The only portfolio currently out there is for the Measure R rail projects. So as we pull this up, we can see a list of all of the various projects. If I hover over, I can see more information about these projects. This hovering, you'll notice that the icon that I get would also allow me to drill down into additional, more detailed information. I can also change what kind of information is displayed. If I click down on a project, now I can see my tabs for scope, status, cost, and schedule. If I click the arrow up here, I get a list of all of my projects. I can click, easily jump to another project, where I can also look at current status. This is a notebook coming out of P6. I can load up the photos, go through the slideshow, and all of this information is maintained by Metro staff. It's information that they decide what goes up and how often it gets refreshed. Latest cost information. This information is coming out of Ecosys, which pulls cost information from both Primavera Contract Management and the Metro FIS. Schedule information. Key milestones. So for the public-facing dashboard, it's simple, yet has a lot of available information. The level of detail that we go down to is, it could be more detailed, but for the first deployment, this is the level of detail that we're starting off with. So, in summary, the integrated reporting has proven to be much lower cost than a full-blown integration. I've seen these integrations eat up just a ton of money, and so we're looking for ways to help clients save money and yet accomplish what they need in getting useful information out to people that are managing the projects in a timely manner, accurate enough to be making critical project decisions on. Integrated reporting can be implemented in much less time than full integration. Our consultants will probably cringe when I'm saying this, but we can probably have something like this up in a hosted environment where we control the environment that it's working on in probably just a couple of months. It could be done quickly. A lot depends on how much information you've already defined, how accessible your information is, and how much we have to go through in the ETL process to pull the data together. There's a wide variety of third-party tools. You know, things are changing in the technology environment every day. We have a team of programmers that stay on top of what's out there, what are the best tools to be used, and always looking for new and better ways of solving these problems, and especially including the drill down capability where we can just get down to ever more detailed information to get to the source of the problem. The ability to control what gets published through a workflow and full audit has also been a very important part of this process. Okay, so the bottom line here is that we've got the flexibility of, we can have the flexibility of multiple databases with a single reporting environment. We have many clients that have multiple P6 databases just because maybe different regional offices or different departments within an enterprise have a different way that they need to configure their systems to do business. And through a enterprise reporting database, we can pull that information from multiple databases, including financial systems, pull it together into a single reporting environment and make it very easy to access. So, Dan, I don't know what you may have already received on questions. If you have, we could go over some of those. Actually,
I did not receive any questions, Don, but we could put my email address back out there one more time for any questions that have arisen during the presentation. Any questions regarding this presentation can be sent to Dan Beck at dbeck@drmcnatty.com.
In fact, I think I'll put that up there so everybody can see it. I apologize for our normal question box not working. like Dan said, it's evidently caused by a maybe a change in the configuration of the GoToMeeting software. I can see from the dashboard here that there are a couple of people with their hands raised. I'm not quite sure what that means, Dan. And of course, there's no way to put questions in on the on-screen dashboard. So if you would email your questions to Dan Beck, we will put all of the questions together into a single document that you'll be able to see all questions and all of the responses related to this. Okay. Any more information on this, don't hesitate to contact Dan Beck or myself. There is another thing I want to mention, and that's some upcoming events. Acumen Risk, their summit is in Houston the end of September, beginning of October. So if you're using the Acumen Risk tool or want more information on it, you might look into that. We will also be at the Construction Management Association Conference and Trade Show in Las Vegas the end of October. And we will again this year be a platinum sponsor for the AACE Southern California Fall Symposium in Indian Wells, California. This is a couple of days of some great technical presentations on the subject of cost and schedule management and control, which I highly recommend that you look into and try to attend. And for those of you that might not be currently on our newsletter list, please sign up for our newsletter called The Loop. And you can do that by going to our website. And also I wanted to show you on the website where you will be able to also access any of our previous webinars. On the Resources tab, if we go to Webinars, we take all of our previous webinars and we publish them. So you can see all of the previous month's webinars. The videos and any supporting information are available to you there. We also have a page for tech tips. Usually these will appear first in our newsletter, and we post them here so that people can access them. And there's presentations. Many of these are copies of the slides from previous webinars. We've also taken some industry presentations. Ron Winter's got a couple of good ones that we posted out here that you might find to be useful. And for the newsletter, very easy to join our mailing list. Just click on News, put in your email, submit, and we will add you to the mailing list. So I hope that you found this to be informative. We tried to pass on more information that you might be able to make use of yourself. So with that, I think that's all we've got today, Dan.
Yeah, that's all that I have on this end, and if you want to let them know about next month's webinar, give them a heads up on that.
Yes, yes. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot to put a slide in there. I believe there was something in the latest newsletter. We've been spending quite a bit of time over the last 4 or 5 months getting into Primavera Unifier. We've gotten a pretty good perspective on it. We've been getting our people trained. We have it up and running in our hosting data center. We started offering hosting services for Unifier last month. And so we're going to do our first Unifier webinar next month to kind of give you an overview of the out-of-the-box forms and workflows that come with Unifier to help make the initial setup of Unifier quick and easy. So we'll take a look at some of that. We'll also talk about what we find to be different between Unifier and contract management. Contract management is still a viable tool. We started 2 new contract management implementations this week, and we'll talk about why people are still buying contract management, and you can take that into consideration in making your decisions. Unifier is certainly the future with Primavera, and we are hoping to promote a clearer understanding of where Unifier is and where we see it best used within the construction or the capital projects environment. So until next month, thank you for joining us.